The 200 series Land Cruiser is one of the most popular four-wheel drives for touring around the world, but they all have a common problem, with dust getting past the filter, and in some cases a full rebuild is required, costing thousands. PowerCore, powered by Donaldson, have designed their own airbox and filter, focusing on better airflow over the restricted OE airbox, to use the original mounting points, plus longer service intervals with a service indicator. OE style fitment of the MAF sensor, plus two fast release clips to remove the service cover. The design of the PowerCore filter is a cylinder shape with a larger surface area over the OE panel filter. And when we tested this setup on the dyno, we've seen better airflow with less restriction, and improved fuel economy with better performance, especially under load, to simulate towing. And as you can see, a nice big thick seal has also been added to secure the air filter. So now that you're up to speed, let's crack on with the installation. Ensure the engine is turned off and cool, and then disconnect the mass airflow sensor by removing the two Phillips head screws. Then unclip the wiring harness from the MAF sensor on the OE housing outlet and top cover. Make sure not to touch the end of the sensor with your fingers. And then place the MAF sensor on top of the engine cover out of the way. Then loosen the hose clamps at each end of the intake pipe with a Phillips head screwdriver. Then unclip the four clamps on the airbox and remove the top cover and intake hose. Then cover the intake with a clean cloth to stop any contaminants getting through to the engine. Remove the three 10mm mounting bolts and completely remove the airbox from the engine bay. And then give the guard a good clean. Now to attach the bottom mounting bracket to the airbox. And as you can see, it only goes on one way. So if it doesn't line up with the bolt holes, turn it 180 degrees. Then with the supplied M8 bolts, spring washers and washers, secure the bracket to the airbox. Start the bolts off by hand so that you don't cross thread them, and then tighten with a socket ratchet wrench, making sure all bolts are nice and firm. Now you can flip over the unit and attach the top mounting bracket with the remaining M8 bolts, spring washers and washers. Again, start the bolts off by hand, then using the socket ratchet wrench until all bolts are nice and snug. Having a closer look at the OE airbox, you can see the guard outlet has a thin layer of foam around it. This is not required if a snorkel is fitted. Apply the supplied strip of foam to the edge of the airbox outlet that sits inside the guard. This will give it a snug fit and reduce any unwanted contamination entering the airbox. Once the foam is applied, it's time to fit the airbox. First, fit the outlet into the guard or snorkel connection and align the top and lower mounting brackets with the original holes in the engine bay. And secure with the supplied M6 bolts, spring washers and washers. Make sure to start all bolts by hand, then tighten with a socket ratchet wrench. Then install the mass airflow sensor wiring harness to the MAF sensor connection. Secure with the supplied M4 bolts and washers using a 3mm Allen key and tighten until firm. Remove the cloth from the intake and refit the intake pipe. With the hose clamps in place, first fit the pipe to the airbox, then by pulling back to attach the other end to the intake mount. Then tighten both hose clamps with a Phillips head screwdriver. Now attach the filter service indicator by turning in a clockwise direction until firm. Then press the reset button. You have now finished the installation of your new PowerCore airbox, powered by Donaldson.